Appreciate that. We've got about 40 minutes to go through 3 more items, so let's see if we can get through these. Frontrunner. Okay. Frontrunner number 4, we're gonna have UDOT present. Ben Hewitt from the Department of Transportation will present first, and then we'll hear from Janelle Robertson from UTA. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. Once again, Ben Hewitt with UDOT. I'm going to give a brief update on a couple of current projects in advance of UTA, giving some longer term look at Frontrunner. Thank you, Leif. So just be doing a brief update on 2 current Frontrunner projects, Frontrunner Strategic Double Tracking and the Point Frontrunner Station. So the first project, Frontrunner Strategic Double Track. So this is a key project in Utah's Unified Transportation Plan with a goal of increasing ridership on Frontrunner. There's a couple points here listed on how to increase ridership through frequency, reliability, and travel time in the system. So this project is targeting moving from the current service, which is 30-minute service, or a train coming every 30 minutes during the peak hour, moving that to every 15 minutes, and then moving from every 60 minutes outside of the peak hour to every 30 minutes. And that is being done through looking at adding additional double track sections so that the trains have additional places to meet and pass each other. Currently, the system is about 25% double tracked, and this project is targeting moving that to 50% double tracking, and also to facilitate that, adding 10 additional trains for that increased frequency. So I know it's very small, but on the right, there's a map of the strategic double track sections on how to make that system work at that increased frequency. So this is currently targeting the Federal Capital Investment Grant Program, or CIG. It's got a project estimate of around $966 million. There's been state money appropriated in a couple different with a couple different directions, and then that leaves the remaining federal money that has been requested through that capital investment grant program. When do you expect them to give?
When do you expect them to give you an answer on
that? Currently, there is $316 million in the FTA recommended in the president's budget, but I'm not entirely sure on the timing on that. The way that the grant program works is you stay in the grant program as long as you're an eligible project, and you stay eligible for the funding as it becomes available. So,
Mr. Chair, I mean, is that specific to this project, or is that just in general?
That recommended funding from FTA,
right?
That is my understanding is that
project.
It's specific to this project. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So this is just a couple of bullet points on the status. It's currently in the project development phase. You can see on the bottom here, there's a few different phases of this grant program. It's currently in the project development phase of the Capital Investment Grant Core Capacity Program, which means that there's begun official coordination with Federal Transit Administration and their Project Management Oversight Consultant, or PMOC. And the team has selected and contracted with a program manager for this. And I guess I forgot to mention at the beginning, just want to say thank you to all the members of the team, UDOT, UTA. There's been a lot of work on coordinating this effort for this strategic double tracking. So it steps through the process. You start in project development, you move into engineering, and then you pursue a full funding grant agreement to actually get the federal funding. Current schedule working on multiple different environmental approvals for this project. Then there is final design, Union Pacific approvals, grant agreements from 2024 through 2029, with target construction from 2026 to 2029 and a current target opening of 2029. The second project,
Can-
yes,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
can we ask
Yeah.
questions on that?
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Will you go back in your slide to the, keep going. It's the one that shows the percentage of double tracking right
Yeah.
there. Couple of questions. 50% is probably higher than I would have expected. Is that partly due to the track layout being designed for these rather old, very heavy rail cars, as opposed to more of a lighter, faster rail car that we might consider in the future? And that leads to my next question, which is, if you're going to add 10 rail cars, are you going to buy the old Bombardier that we bought from Canada? Or are you going to go with something new, let's say something that's built in Salt Lake City?
Let's see if I can answer that. So the first question, I'm not entirely sure on, I guess just high level, the 50% is to make the increased service work
Sure.
for the different places that the trains meet with, adding the stations and stuff like that. So might be able to tap into our UTA knowledge with the next presentation if I misspeak, but I think in general, this is anticipating, newer vehicles than
So,
the old system was.
Obviously, the
anticipating.
reason I'm asking is newer vehicles are considerably lighter, more efficient, cleaner, and can go a lot faster on that rail system. The rail system, as was built antiquatedly a while ago, never anticipated any of these rail cars going over about 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour on the high end, even though the rail cars themselves could easily do over 100. So when we're talking about your delivery systems, frequency, dependability, and in a timely manner, if we're moving to those new rail cars, what's being done for the tracking itself to help facilitate that quicker speed of delivery? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think with and UTA, when they give some of the long-term Frontrunner vision, they can talk about some of the goals for being forward compatible to those increased speeds and geometric improvements, as well as grade separations and stuff that will allow for those. So I guess in a general statement, and I hope I'm not misspeaking, that these projects in the sequencing that they are laid out in are looking forward to this long-term plan of making it increase the frequency, making it available to go faster.
That overall objective.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
objective. Mr. Chair, so my final question is on this section. Are the additional rail cars, trains, are they included in that $900 million?
In the estimate? Yeah, the vehicles are included as part of the project estimate. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Keep going.
So the next project regarding Frontrunner, the Point Frontrunner Station. This was legislation introduced this past legislative session that provided some funding for a station at the point. So taking a look at what it would take to add a station at the point, talking about what we just talked about, when you add an additional station, it changes the timing of the system. And so there is associated double tracking needed to make that station work to meet the increased frequency goal. So the 15-minute peak hour frequency that I discussed on the previous project. So this graphic here shows in red is the double tracking as part of the previous project, trying to make sure that it's clear that these were two separate looks at it. The red was the strategic double tracking project, and then the purple is the additional double tracking associated with adding a station at the point to make that frequency work with the system. So the concept estimate is 400 million currently, and with the past legislative session, there was 200 million that was allocated for that project. Just to reiterate that it is a separate project from the strategic double tracking project, and the next steps are environmental and Union Pacific coordination to further define that alternative.
Any federal funds for that?
There's not currently any pursuit of federal funds on that project.
Can you get it?
That you would have to evaluate what program that would fit into. It would, if you were to try to add it to the current, my understanding is if you were trying to add it to the current strategic double tracking project, it may change the variables in how that project works and is eligible for federal funding. So that may not work. And as a standalone project, it may not fit into that same category, but I guess the general answer is that we could always looking for programs that would fit with any kind of project like this.
All right, good.
Mr. Chair, may I ask another question
All right.
specific to this one now?
Sure.
Because this is my area, so I'm gonna be all over you. The Union Pacific, you're not actually using the old freight lines, you're just buying right of way. Is that my understanding?
I'm honestly not sure on that.
Because
so
my
I may need
understanding
to
is the
phone a
Union
friend on
Pacific,
that.
it's very specific, doesn't allow it. The only place they have allowed it was north of Weber County up into Brigham City. And that was like for a 35-minute window of time in the morning and a 45-minute window of time in the afternoon during rush hour. Has that changed? So, I mean, maybe I'm asking questions you don't know, but, and then what standards does UTA use in doing the double track to build their lines? Are they building it, like what are the standards being? Because that goes back to my question of the throughput, the trains themselves, and the capacity that those rail lines will allow.
Yeah. I may have to phone a friend for some additional information with the next presentation. Because
Okay, I can wait,
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously there's a lot of interest here.
Yeah.
To push this much better than where I think it has gone in the past. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Are you done then?
Yeah, that's all I have for that part of
Okay.
the presentation.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you very much. And we'll finish that section out with Janelle Robertson from UTA. Oh, she's online. So go ahead, Janelle.
Hi, all. Sorry I couldn't be there. I have unfortunately come down with a virus of some sort, and thought, given the tightness of that room, you'll all be very glad that I'm not there.
Well, good luck. Hope you get feeling better.
Yeah, I'll try not to sniffle too loud into the microphone here, but yeah, so I'm Janelle Robertson. I'm a UTA project manager. I wanted to give you an update on the phasing plan for the next steps of Frontrunner. This analysis was,
Janelle, would it be too hard to ask you to put your camera on?
you know what, it says I am not allowed, but I am going to be presenting.
Okay.
If somebody wants my camera on, they could probably change that setting.
Okay, we can see your presentation.
So this presentation was put together by Kimberly Horn and Deutsche Bahn North America. They are both transit engineering experts. They started their work with the strategic double tracking project to help us determine what to do with Frontrunner in that first phase of improvements. And we quickly realized that one project was not going to achieve all of our goals for the system. And so we really needed to put together a bigger plan that started talking about how we continue to improve Frontrunner over time. So the growth in the Wasatch Front through 2040, as you know, is very, very rapidly fastest in the United States at 31%. And we're expecting that the demand for Frontrunner is going to be even more than that. Simply because as time goes on, I-15 is going to continue to get slower, and Frontrunner is going to, at a minimum, stay the same travel time, if not get faster if we continue to improve it. So in 2019, on I-15, it would take 38 minutes. and on Frontrunner it'd take 53 minutes. Well, in the future, even with projects that are in UDOT's plan, that travel time is going to increase to 57 minutes. And the travel time on Frontrunner, if we make these improvements, could get down to 47 minutes. From Provo to North Temple, currently I-15 takes 58 minutes, and in the future it's going to take 84 minutes. With Frontrunner improvements, the current 69 minutes could be reduced down to 15 or 57 minutes. And that's kind of creating a natural demand for Frontrunner ridership growth at a 76% growth, kind of showing that we need to continue to invest in it to make it continue to be a viable option. So this is kind of a very high level summary of the work that we did to analyze, what should we do next with Frontrunner? What are our priorities? What are our goals? The first thing we did was a rider market analysis. We studied the existing riders. Where are they going? When are they traveling? We also analyzed all trips in the Wasatch Front that could potentially be made by Frontrunner and how we might attract those riders. We also assessed what new markets we might want to attract with extensions or new stations. We did an infrastructure assessment, which is analyzing all of those constraints of the antiquated rail system that was brought up earlier, where we're in a corridor with Union Pacific, but we are not using their corridor. We have bought right away from them, and we do anticipate that we would buy right away from them and not travel actually on their rails. But as we look at that system, there are a lot of antiquated features of the system, curve modifications, at-grade crossings, all of those things that we share with Union Pacific that we'll need to continue to improve to get away from and make the system faster and work more efficiently. We also built a full operational model of our system. What this does is it really helps us assess. It helped us determine that if we wanted to, with the strategic double tracking project, double the amount of service that we're putting out there right now, what do we need to do to the system? And that helped us determine where we needed the double tracking and help us determine a schedule that would make that work. We set goals for the system, kind of the basics that everybody knows, that we want increased frequency, increased reliability, and increased speed to attract and keep our riders. We also want to decrease emissions on the system, as well as our current fleet is a diesel push-pull system, which is not the least emission type system that we could have. Sorry, I need to take a quick drink. I'm losing my voice already. And then we did a fleet assessment. We analyzed that based on our goals, what kind of vehicle technologies do we think could help us achieve those goals and would actually be available, kind of ready technologies for the time frame that we think that this project might be implemented. So we phase the infrastructure improvements over time because it could be, a lot to bite off all at once. And so we have logical stopping points at each of the improvements, and they continue to build on each other as we go through each of the phases. So we get better and better speeds, frequency, reliability, et cetera, as we go on in making these improvements. But we're in a very constrained corridor, so we have to kind of take those in bite-sized pieces. And then we wanted riders to have a win at every phase. They would endure a lot of construction and delays, et cetera, during a lot of these phases of the project. And so we wanted to make sure that there was an evident phase or evident win for the riders at every phase where they feel like they got something out of it. They either got more frequency, or their trains are faster, or their trains are lower emission, et cetera. And then kind of the ultimate goal is that Frontrunner is a lower emission option and the mode of choice to travel in the Wasatch Front.
All right, oh, you've still got some more slides.
Oh, yeah, and you can,
Can you go through the slides pretty fast now? Because we're just bumping up against the deadline and we still have a couple more items.
yeah, no problem. I'll
Thank you.
go through really quickly and you can, this is just a quick analysis of the types of technologies that we looked at. We believe that potentially a OCS, it's an overhead catenary system, which is a battery hybrid vehicle where there's just intermittent areas of charging, would be very conducive to the type of system that we're running. Other potential options like battery only and hydrogen may not quite cover it. And then this is kind of a draft of the phasing plan, phase 0 being the strategic double tracking project. And then each of the phases on that kind of continue to build on the system, continue to improve it, modernize the system with, in phase 2, we go with greener technologies, higher track speeds, curve modifications in the system, and all the way out to a phase 5, which gets to express trains where we have overtakes where express trains can actually pass local trains on the system in quadruple track areas of the system. I could go into this in more detail. I know you guys you're in a bit of a hurry. And then kind of grade separations are something that's going to be needed throughout the entire as we go on. The more trains we get out there, the faster they're going, they're going to have to be grade separated from auto traffic. We currently have 68 grade separations. Phase 1 shows the extension all the way to Payson, which is 3 stations in Springville, Spanish Fork, and Payson, including the Point of the Mountain station as well. Phase 2 has an extension to Brigham City, and includes 3 more stations as well to the north in that next phase. And that was all the slides I had.
Oh, okay, thanks. Senator Andrade, did you have other questions you want to follow up on?
No, she nailed some of them. I mean, you're double tracking the vast majority. You're going to probably, it looks like quad tracks in several throughput sections and bottlenecks and stuff like that. I would be interested to see, but I'll be honest with you, the fact that they hired Deutsche Bahn is like very innovative and very forward thinking as far as being able to get the highest efficiencies out of a system. So I'm thrilled that that's who they've gone with as the consultant on their analysis. So I've asked them if they'll send me this report so I can take a little bit deeper dive look.
Okay.
So no, I don't have any more questions at this time.
Thanks. Any other quick questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'm just curious, are there any models of this somewhere in the United States similar to doing this that has actually worked?
Yeah, so actually the Kimley Horn and Deutsche Bahn team had also helped Caltrain do something very similar to their system, where, you know, continued to modernize their system and change technologies and vehicle technologies and sort of, you know, overhaul of their existing system.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. And I'm sure there may be other questions down the road that we want to get with you on that, but thanks for teeing that up for us. Before we go to the next item, just like to welcome Representative Perucci and her new addition to the family here. So